Everyone thinks the POCO M7 is the no-brainer budget phone on Amazon right now. But here is the thing. It is not the killer deal you think it is, unless you know exactly what you are getting into. On paper, it looks insane for the price. Big display, big battery, plenty of storage, all that marketing fluff. But when I actually pushed this thing for days as my main phone gaming, filming outside in harsh light, late night scrolling, charging from 5% at 1 a.m., I found a couple of hidden trade-offs that most people will only notice after they have already bought it. And one of them might be a deal breaker for you. Before we dive into what I discovered with the POCO M7 in real-world use, quick heads up. If you are already 90% convinced and just hunting for the best price, I have dropped the Amazon link below. Check that for current deals, but stick around, because what I found might actually change which version you buy, or if you buy it at all. So why was I even looking at the POCO M7 in the first place? I was stuck with an older budget phone that lagged opening Instagram, turned into a toaster whenever I played a game, and died by late afternoon. I refused to drop flagship money, but I also did not want another disposable cheap phone that feels great for 3 months and then crawls. I had already been burned by one of those. Big battery on the box, real-world screen on time was trash. The camera looked fine until you actually zoomed in on the photos. So when I saw the M7 showing up on Amazon with that aggressive pricing and those spec sheets that scream value, I was skeptical. I thought, all right, I am going to treat this like a normal buyer. Use it as my only phone for a solid week plus and see where it cracks. Social media, GPS navigation, some casual gaming, camera spam on a weekend trip, Wi-Fi and 4G, indoor and outdoor, the whole thing. Let us start with performance and the display, because that is what sells this phone. The POCO M7 gives you a big, sharp screen with a high refresh rate, so right away, scrolling feels faster than the typical cheap 60Hz panels. Swiping through apps, your home screen and TikTok genuinely feels smooth. For day-to-day stuff, WhatsApp, Instagram, YouTube, email, it handled everything fine. But then I threw heavier apps at it. After about 25–30 minutes of continuous gaming, I started to see some frame dips and minor stutters. Not unusable, but it is that subtle slowdown you notice when you are aiming in a shooter or driving in a racing game. If you are a serious gamer, this is not a miracle machine. It is a budget phone doing its best. But then we get to battery life. Here is where it quietly redeems itself. With mixed use, a couple of hours of social media, some YouTube, maps, photos, and light gaming, I was consistently ending the day with around 20–30% left. That is legit all-day battery, not marketing speak. When I did a heavier test day with more gaming and 4G data, it still made it from morning to night without a power bank. Charging is decent too, from low single digits to about half tank in roughly half an hour with the fast charger. Not flagship fast, but for this price, very solid. The phone does get warm while charging and gaming at the same time, though, so if you are the type who plays while plugged in, expect noticeable heat. But then the camera story kicks in. In daytime, the main camera on the POCO M7 is surprisingly good for what you are paying. Colors are punchy, detail is acceptable, and for social media, your photos will look totally fine. I took it outside, shot some buildings, food, and a bunch of random street scenes, and on the phone screen it looks great. The moment you zoom in, you remember it is a budget sensor. Fine detail and dynamic range are only okay. At night you really see the cut corners. The images get softer, noise creeps in, and if you do not have steady hands or a decent light source, some shots look smeared. Video is similar. Usable for casual clips, but stabilization and low light quality are nowhere near more expensive phones. Doable for stories and reels, not for aspiring filmmakers. But here is where it gets interesting. The design and software. The M7 is clearly a budget device when you hold it, plastic build, lightweight, and a design that is more practical than premium. Some people will love that it is light. Others will feel it is a bit toy-like. On the software side, though, POCO's skin gives you a ton of customization and a ton of pre-installed apps. There is bloat. Some you can uninstall, some you can only disable. And yes, there are the occasional ads and recommendations in system apps, which is the price you pay for a phone this cheap with these specs. I spent a good 20-30 minutes on day one just cleaning things up, removing junk, turning off recommendations, tweaking the settings. Once you do that, it is fine, but you have to be willing to put in that initial setup effort. My biggest surprise with the POCO M7 came after a few days. It is not a specs monster pretending to be a budget phone. It is a consistency machine with some very deliberate compromises. The standout is the battery and general smoothness for everyday use. For most people, that matters way more than having the absolute best camera. I also realized something important about the different variants you see on Amazon. The lower RAM storage options might be tempting because they are the cheapest, but if you plan to keep this phone for more than a year, that is where it can bite you. Budget phones with too little RAM start to choke once you install your usual pile of apps. So if you are set on the M7, I would strongly lean toward a higher RAM configuration, even if it costs a bit more up front. Compared to other phones in its price range, the POCO M7 trades off some camera and premium feel in exchange for battery life and smoother daily performance. It is not too good to be true. It is just very specific about what it is good at. Now that you know what the POCO M7 actually does well, and where it cuts corners, the next step is simple. Pick the version that fits how you really use your phone. If you are going for it, grab it while the Amazon deals and coupons are still live. Prices on these mid-range phones jump around a lot. I will leave a link in the description so you can check the current best offer and see which configuration makes sense for you. Bottom line, the POCO M7 is not a magic flagship killer, but it is a seriously compelling budget daily driver. If you are a student, a casual user, or you just want a reliable phone for social media, streaming, calls, and maps that will last all day, this thing makes a ton of sense. If you are a hardcore mobile gamer, a camera snob, or you hate dealing with any kind of ads or bloatware, you should probably look higher up the chain and pay more. For everyone else, the M7 is that rare Amazon find that actually delivers, as long as you go in with clear expectations. The hype says it is unbeatable. The reality is, it is a smart buy for the right person.